Personality NLP Astrology case study for Julie. Since Julie has Krittika rising in Taurus as her ascendant, she likely carries herself with an aura of grounded presence, inner strength, and a sharp, refined will. Krittika, ruled by the sun, is a nakshatra of discernment, purification, and focused clarity. Its energy cuts through illusion to get to the core. Taurus as an ascendant brings a natural steadiness, sensual depth, and connection to beauty and comfort. But with Krittika here, Julie's personality is not just soft or stabilizing, it has edge. She is both grounded and precise, someone who radiates quiet authority and exacting standards. People may see her as composed, dependable, and visually striking, but with an inner fire that doesn't waver once lit. Krittika lends her a surgical ability to assess people, situations, and motives quickly. She may hold herself and others to high standards, not for vanity, but out of a core desire for alignment, elegance, and truth. From an NLP lens, this ascendant suggests a visual and auditory digital processing style. She likely evaluates the world through both aesthetic cues and internal logic. Things need to look right and make sense before they feel trustworthy. Julie's attention filter is self-oriented. She references her own inner knowing and sense of alignment when making decisions. She isn't swayed easily by groupthink or pressure. If something doesn't feel aligned with her values or standards, she'll quietly pull back. Her motivation direction leans away from. She instinctively distances herself from messiness, emotional chaos, or distortion. Krittika's fire doesn't tolerate what feels off. It refines through separation. Yet, once she senses something is worthy of her energy, she can invest with clarity and loyalty. In the second house, Julie has the moon placed in Ardra in Gemini, a configuration that brings intense emotional sensitivity, mental sharpness, and deep curiosity into her values, voice, and inner sense of worth. The second house governs speech, self-expression, family conditioning, and our relationship to stability and resources. The moon here suggests she processes emotion through thought, often using language to make sense of her inner world. But in Ardra, this becomes stormy, transformational, and intellectually charged. Ardra, ruled by Rahu and symbolized by a teardrop or the storm god Rudra, deals with emotional upheaval as a path to clarity. Julie may feel things intensely, but her instinct is to analyze them, to cut through emotional fog by naming, understanding, and reshaping what she feels. She likely has a powerful voice, one that doesn't just speak but pierces through vagueness. From an NLP lens, this points to a kinesthetic and auditory digital style. She feels deeply, but prefers to articulate her experience with structure, pattern, or poetic sharpness. Her chunking style here is specific. Julie tracks details in speech, memory, or emotion with surgical precision. She may recall conversations word for word, analyze tone, or pick up on verbal nuance that others miss. Her attention filter remains self-referencing, especially in defining her values or setting boundaries around what she needs. And her motivation is primarily away from emotional ambiguity or inconsistency. When something feels emotionally noisy or mentally unclear, she may pull back until she can refine it. Together, Krittika rising and the moon in Ardra give Julie a core psychological profile of emotional depth, verbal precision, and aesthetic clarity. She doesn't shy away from the difficult. She refines it, names it, and moves forward with self-honoring purpose. Her NLP drives suggest a mind that learns through emotion, processes through internal logic, and expresses only what is true, necessary, and beautifully cut to the essence. Third house, Jupiter and Pushya. In the third house, Julie has Jupiter and Pushya in Cancer, which gives her communication style a warm, wise, and emotionally grounded tone. The third house governs how we speak, think, and learn. And with Jupiter here, Julie is naturally thoughtful, expansive, and generous with her ideas. Pushya, ruled by Saturn and symbolized by the nourishing udder of a cow, brings deep care and protection. In Cancer, this energy becomes nurturing, emotionally intelligent, and sensitive to tone. Julie likely communicates in a way that soothes and supports, while still carrying quiet authority and meaning. Jupiter in Pushya often indicates someone who teaches or shares knowledge not to impress, but to uplift, and Julie's words may feel like emotional balm to those around her. From an NLP perspective, this placement supports a kinesthetic and auditory digital processing style with a preference for general chunking. She's less concerned with details or facts for their own sake. Instead, she focuses on emotional truth, ethical resonance, and the broader meaning behind the message. She processes conversation with empathy and grace. Her attention filter in communication is others-aware, tuned to the emotional response her words evoke. She likely adjusts how she speaks based on the atmosphere of the room, but always from a place of inner steadiness. Her motivation direction in this domain is towards emotional connection, coherence, and wisdom sharing. She likely thrives in environments where dialogue feels safe, thoughtful, and soulful, and may feel disoriented by harsh or overly critical conversational styles. Fourth house, Mars in Maga Leo. In the fourth house, Julie has Mars placed in Maga in Leo, bringing strength, protectiveness, and ancestral pride into her emotional foundation, private identity, and relationship to home. The fourth house governs one's inner world, sense of safety, and emotional inheritance. With Mars here, Julie likely experiences a strong inner drive to protect her personal space, maintain her sovereignty, and assert herself quietly but firmly when something threatens her peace. Maga, ruled by Ketu and symbolized by the royal throne, is about lineage, power, and dignity. In Leo, this becomes proud, centered, and confident, even in private. Mars in Maga gives Julie a fierce inner protector. She may have a composed surface, but beneath that is a deep instinct to maintain order and uphold what she considers sacred. She doesn't easily tolerate emotional disrespect or chaos in her inner circle. From an NLP perspective, this Mars placement supports a kinesthetic and visual processing style, with a preference for specific chunking. She notices the subtle energetic and emotional shifts in her home environment and takes action to restore equilibrium when needed. Her attention filter here is self-oriented. Her internal emotional world is her compass. If something disturbs her inner balance or threatens the integrity of her space, she reacts instinctively, sometimes assertively, but always with a sense of purpose. Her motivation direction in this house is largely away from environments that feel energetically messy, invasive, or emotionally manipulative. But she is clearly towards emotional leadership, creating a home base or inner life that is empowered, dignified, and rooted in strength. Together, Jupiter in Pushya and Mars in Maga give Julie a grounded yet sovereign inner core. She thinks with care and speaks with purpose, but also defends what matters to her with emotional strength and subtle power. Her NLP imprint across the third and fourth houses reveals a communicator and protector, someone who processes language through resonance, processes emotion through sovereignty, and who values both peace and precision in her private life. Fifth house, Venus and Sun conjunct in Hasta Virgo. In the fifth house, Julie has Venus and the Sun conjunct in Hasta in Virgo, a placement that infuses her creativity, self-expression, and emotional intelligence with precision, refinement, and subtle mastery. The fifth house governs personal joy, learning, romance, and the ability to create and share from the heart. With both Venus and the Sun here, Julie has a natural glow in how she expresses herself. But with Hasta and Virgo shaping this energy, her light is filtered through thoughtful hands, sharp observation, and an instinct to improve and perfect what she offers. Hasta, ruled by the moon and symbolized by an open hand, is associated with craftsmanship, subtle control, and the ability to shape reality with care and attention. In Virgo, this nakshatra becomes highly perceptive, detail-driven, and service-oriented. The Sun here gives Julie a dignified, though modest, sense of self. She may be quietly proud of her intelligence, emotional integrity, or creative precision, but rarely boastful. Her presence in romantic or expressive spaces tends to be graceful, competent, and understated, a quiet authority that comes from knowing how to do things well. Venus in Hasta complements this with elegance and emotional finesse. Julie expresses affection, creativity, and charm in a way that's thoughtful, nurturing, and extremely attuned to nuance. She may love with her hands, through acts of care, beauty, or service, and she likely takes pleasure in details, whether artistic, relational, or intellectual. From an NLP perspective, this Sun-Venus conjunction supports a visual and kinesthetic processing style, with a strong preference for specific chunking. Julie likely takes in beauty and meaning through subtle observation. She notices shifts in body language, tone and form, and she responds in kind with precision and care. Her attention filter is a fine-tuned blend of self-orientation and others' awareness. She filters her creative and emotional impulses through her own inner standards first, but is highly responsive to the energy of others, especially in close or romantic contexts. There's an instinct here to adjust delicately, to offer what is needed without losing her own clarity. Her motivation direction in this house leans towards excellence, elegance, and emotional resonance, but it also includes a subtle away-from drive, particularly when something feels messy, emotionally disorganized, or performative. She doesn't express just to express. She expresses to connect, refine, and offer something real. Altogether, Venus and the Sun conjunct in Hasta give Julie a creative and romantic style that is graceful, exacting, and emotionally intelligent. She shines through subtlety, not spectacle, and her NLP imprint here reveals someone who learns and expresses through felt details, aesthetic calibration, and inner clarity. She doesn't just create beauty, she shapes it, with care, purpose, and impeccable hands. 6th house, Mercury and Swati and Ketu in Vishaka, Libra. In the 6th house, Julie has Mercury and Swati and Ketu in Vishaka, both in Libra, a combination that brings refined intelligence, precise detachment, and internal discernment into the way she handles work, service, discipline, and interpersonal tension. The 6th house governs daily routines, health patterns, and how we manage responsibility and imbalance. With Mercury and Ketu here, Julie's relationship to structure is subtle and cerebral. She operates best when there's room to analyze, fine-tune, and maintain inner and outer balance without noise or pressure. Mercury in Swati, ruled by Rahu and symbolized by the blade of grass swaying in the wind, gives Julie an adaptable, perceptive, and highly responsive mind, especially in work or collaborative environments. She's skilled at navigating change, tuning into timing, and speaking with calibrated clarity. Mercury in Libra brings diplomacy, but Swati adds an independent streak. She's not a people pleaser, she's a truth finder who prefers finesse over friction. From an NLP lens, this supports a visual and auditory digital processing style with specific chunking. Julie likely observes detail in behavior, tone, and energy, processing through precision, and preferring efficient, respectful communication over unnecessary chatter. Her tension filter here is others aware, particularly in environments involving service or obligation. She notices what needs adjusting, who needs help, and how to say the right thing with minimal disruption. Her motivation direction with Mercury is towards. She's driven to improve systems, create harmony, and express ideas that serve function and fairness. She may work best when she can move independently within a structured space, allowed to think and refine without micromanagement. Ketu in Vishaka, also in the 6th, deepens this picture with a subtle karmic intelligence. Vishaka, ruled by Jupiter and symbolized by a triumphal arch, is goal-driven, sharp, and discerning. Ketu here brings detachment from conventional ambition in the workplace or service roles. Julie may have tried to do it right in earlier years, but over time learns to prioritize clarity and principle over proving herself. There's likely a quiet mastery in her. She knows how to move through systems without being consumed by them. From an NLP perspective, Ketu in Vishaka reflects a dissociated and auditory digital processing style with a mismatching tendency. Julie instinctively spots what's off, what no longer belongs, and how to clear space with elegant efficiency. She processes refinement through subtraction, removing what doesn't work rather than adding more. Her motivation direction with Ketu is strongly away from, particularly from chaos, overcommitment, and emotional entanglement in workspaces. She thrives where she can serve with clarity, insight, and freedom, and pulls back when the energy becomes noisy or misaligned. Together, Mercury in Swati and Ketu in Vishaka give Julie a work and refinement style that is mental, graceful, and exact. Her NLP imprint in the 6th house shows a psyche that thinks through tone, responds through detail, and clears space not to escape, but to serve with precision. She's not here to hustle for worth. She's here to move cleanly, think clearly, and offer what is essential. 11th house, Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada, Pisces. In the 11th house, Julie has Saturn placed in Purva Bhadrapada in Pisces, giving her a disciplined, visionary, and quietly intense relationship to community, long-term goals, and her sense of contribution to the collective. The 11th house governs networks, friendships, ideological belonging, and the realization of future aspirations. With Saturn here, Julie takes these themes seriously. She doesn't engage lightly with groups or visions. She filters everything through a deep sense of meaning, structure, and responsibility. Her friendships may be few, but they're rooted in loyalty, depth, and shared ideals. Purva Bhadrapada, ruled by Jupiter and symbolized by the front legs of a funeral cot or a two-faced man, is a nakshatra of radical vision, spiritual fire, and moral paradox. In Pisces, this nakshatra gains subtlety and mysticism. It sees through illusion and holds long-range ideals that can seem ahead of their time. Saturn in this nakshatra doesn't chase popularity. It builds legacies. Julie may be drawn to collective work that feels soulful, reformative, or psychologically meaningful. She's likely to show up in groups with a quiet authority, choosing long-term impact over short-term approval. From an NLP perspective, this placement supports a dissociated and auditory digital processing style with general chunking. Julie thinks about the future in broad, visionary terms, but she approaches it through internal structure and spiritual logic. She may plan slowly, reflect deeply, and take calculated steps toward goals that feel energetically aligned. Her thinking is structured but not rigid. It's intuitive strategy, laced with personal ethics and long-term imagination. Her attention filter is primarily self-oriented, even in group contexts. She senses where she fits, whether something feels authentic, and how much energy it deserves. If a network or cause feels shallow, she distances. But when it feels worthy, she devotes herself with quiet perseverance. Her motivation direction is a blend. She moves away from superficial collectives or trendy causes and towards building meaningful, spiritually anchored structures for others. Saturn here may also give her a lone wolf quality in group settings. Not because she doesn't care, but because she filters deeply before fully engaging. Others may sense her as dependable, principled, or quietly wise. She may be seen as a backbone figure in long-term projects, someone who sustains vision even when it's not flashy. Altogether, Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada in the 11th house gives Julie a visionary, yet grounded social and contribution style. She seeks meaning over momentum, spiritual architecture over social noise. Her NLP imprint here reflects someone who thinks long-term, filters her commitments through resonance and ethics, and shows up with a kind of enduring presence. She's not here for applause. She's here to build what matters, even if no one's watching. 12th house, Rahu in Bharani Aries. In the 12th house, Julie has Rahu placed in Bharani in Aries, a powerful and karmically loaded position that brings intensity, hunger, and transformation to her relationship with solitude, release, subconscious patterns, and spiritual evolution. The 12th house governs dissolution, dream states, inner surrender, and what lies beyond the boundaries of ego. With Rahu here, Julie is driven to explore hidden dimensions. But with Bharani in Aries, this journey is not passive or retreating. It's fiery, instinctive, and deeply evolutionary. She doesn't simply withdraw, she pierces through. Bharani, ruled by Venus and symbolized by the yoni womb, is a nakshatra of containment, birth, and threshold crossing. It deals with life, death, and the raw power of transition. In Aries, this energy becomes forceful, urgent, and self-initiated. Rahu here suggests Julie carries a karmic drive to break free from unconscious limitation, to forge her own spiritual path, often by confronting inner taboos or old psychic residue. There may be a deep curiosity around mysticism, altered states, psychological healing, or themes of hidden power and liberation. From an NLP perspective, Rahu in Bharani supports a kinesthetic and auditory digital processing style with a blend of specific and general chunking. Julie likely processes emotion and energy through her body first. She may feel dissonance before she can name it. Her inner world is dynamic and visceral, and her ability to articulate what happens in solitude or spiritual exploration may come in waves, through insight, symbols, or somatic knowing. Her attention filter in this house is deeply self-oriented, though not selfish. Rather, it's rooted in energetic self-honoring. She instinctively pulls away from outer noise when her soul requires recalibration. The motivation direction is predominantly away from, in the sense that she avoids entrapment, psychological, emotional, or spiritual. Yet there's also a powerful towards quality. She's drawn toward inner breakthroughs, sacred rebellion, and the kind of freedom that only comes through personal reckoning and rebirth. This Rahu placement may also fuel dreams, intuitive downloads, or creative visions that feel otherworldly. And with Bharani's Venusian influence, these experiences may arrive through symbolic beauty, intense emotion, or sexuality. Julie's unconscious mind is active and often pushes her to expand beyond traditional limits. She's not here to stay safe in the spiritual lane. She's here to transform through it. Altogether, Rahu and Bharani in the 12th house gives Julie a psychological and spiritual signature that is bold, initiatory, and karmically potent. Her NLP imprint here reflects someone who processes life from the inside out, through energy, instinct, and emotional fire. She may not always explain what's happening within, but she knows when change is coming, and she moves toward it like a soul midwife, raw, awake, and fiercely guided from within. Overall, NLP drives for Julie. Julie's NLP profile reveals a mind and system built for emotional clarity, energetic refinement, and intelligent self-honoring. Her chart shows a balance of earthy groundedness and sharp perceptivity, with planets placed in nakshatras like Krittika, Ardra, Pushya, Magha, Hasta, Swati, Vishaka, Purva Bhadrapada, and Bharani, spanning Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Pisces, and Aries. This combination reveals someone who processes life with both precision and depth. She doesn't move impulsively. She filters experience through emotional tone, internal structure, and pattern awareness before responding. Her dominant processing styles are auditory digital, kinesthetic, and visual. Julie's auditory digital function, seen through Mercury in Swati, Moon in Ardra, and Krittika rising, makes her highly reflective and inner dialogue driven. She tests language, logic, and values internally before engaging. At the same time, her kinesthetic intelligence runs deep, especially through her Cancer and Pisces placements. She feels first, speaks later. Energy, emotional tone, and atmosphere matter. They're often the first indicators of whether something is in or out of alignment. Visual processing adds another dimension. She perceives structure, elegance, and detail, notably through Venus in Hasta and Krittika's refined filter, and uses what she sees to calibrate both her environment and her relationships. Her chunking style is mixed, specific in emotional, communicative, and relational contexts, and general in spiritual, creative, or visionary ones. When something matters to her, a conversation, a commitment, or a process, she zooms in and picks it apart with precision. But when reflecting on her goals, her vision, or the patterns that guide her life, she naturally expands, thinking symbolically and philosophically. Julie's motivation direction is a sophisticated dance between away from and towards. She instinctively distances herself from anything that feels emotionally noisy, energetically dissonant, or intellectually dishonest. This is most visible in her Moon in Ardra, Ketu in Vishaka, and Mars in Magha. But when she identifies something that resonates, a truth, a purpose, a person, her towards drive activates fully. She moves with elegant certainty toward clarity, emotional beauty, and purposeful structure. Her attention filter is primarily self-oriented, though not isolating. She processes based on her internal compass, how things feel, sound, and land internally, and adjusts her behavior based on what preserves that internal coherence. At the same time, she's highly attuned to others' energy, Mercury in Swati, Jupiter in Pushya, and often senses what's happening beneath the surface. She'll adapt where needed, but only if it doesn't compromise her own clarity. Her action style is precise and timing-based. With Mars in Magha and Rahu in Bharani, she moves when something clicks, not from pressure, but from conviction. Her instinct is to wait until she feels the emotional and energetic terrain settle into clarity, then act with strength and direction. She doesn't rush. But once she's decided, she rarely wavers. Altogether, Julie's NLP imprint reflects someone who communicates with clarity, listens with emotional intelligence, and acts from inner alignment. She's not here to be loud or reactive, she's here to be precise. Whether through speech, silence, or movement, Her presence calibrates the space around her. She teaches others, not through performance, but through how consistently she honors her own system. Her mind is refined, her body is wise, and her decisions are often the result of quiet discernment. She's not here to be pulled by noise. She's here to live the signal.